So I ended up seeing Justice League, and was it as bad as I originally believed? No. There were a couple scenes that I did like. I will admit that, but the bad far outweighed the good, unfortunately. So the movie basically starts out with Batman chasing down a robber, and when he finally catches up to him, he gets him scared enough to get one of those flying parademons to fly up and attack him. So then Batman he lets the criminal go, and he goes after the parademon, which I will admit was an interesting chase scene that kind of reminded me of the Firefly boss fight from Batman Arkham Origins. But then they somehow fly back onto the same roof that the criminal was on, just before the parademon explodes. And honestly, they already ruined Batman in the first 5 minutes of the film. Like, I even paused the movie just to check, and yeah, it was around the 5-minute mark that they already destroyed his character. So first off, he contacted Alfred with the criminal right next to him. I seriously doubt that there's a lot of people named Alfred in Gotham. And then, after he's done talking with Alfred about assembling the League, he just leaves the criminal on the roof, doesn't even knock him out or anything. It cuts away to Wonder Woman stopping a bank robbery, which that scene was alright, in my opinion, even though it didn't really have any real bearing on the overall story. Aside from, I guess, reintroducing Wonder Woman's character, I do think that it should have used a different organization or a different gang just for that opening scene. Like, I don't know, maybe bring in the Royal Flush Gang from the comics, or that one group who actually works for Darkseid. But they're basically a street-level gang who gets their hands on apocalyptic tech, and they end up going up against Superman in the comics. So after Wonder Woman's introduction, Batman meets up with her, and they discuss about what's coming, like Steppenwolf, the parademons. And they discuss about how he's already here because Steppenwolf already showed up to Themyscira and stole their mother box. I will admit, Steppenwolf is not as bad a character as I originally thought. Yes, his design is awful. The CGI looks like it's from like an early 2000s video game. It honestly reminds me of the Scorpion King from The Mummy Returns. But he does have a few good scenes, like that scene where he's throwing the Amazons around. That is pretty cool. I will admit that, how he just shoulder rams one of their horses to the side to grab the box. Some of his dialogue is okay, like that line about how his axe is still slick with the other Amazon's blood. I thought that was a good line. Unfortunately, the rest of his dialogue sucks. Especially the scenes where he's referring to the mother box as mother. There was some bits of Steppenwolf that worked, some that didn't. And unfortunately, the ones that didn't, they overshadowed like the good parts about him. So after Wonder Woman talks to Bruce Wayne about that huge war that all the heroes in the past won against Steppenwolf, which, by the way, that scene was actually pretty cool as well. Just seeing like the Olympian gods, Atlantis, all the tribes of men, as she said, and even a Green Lantern showing up to fight Steppenwolf. That scene was pretty cool, I will admit that. But again, it is overshadowed by the fact that Steppenwolf just looks like crap. So once they finish with that, they look for like the other superpowered people. Batman goes after the Flash, and he also goes after Aquaman, while Wonder Woman tries to find Cyborg. And so so what follows that is probably the only two of the only scenes in the entire movie that I didn't have a problem with. Because all the previous scenes, while there was something that I did like about it, there was always something holding it back. Like that opening fight scene of like all the heroes fighting against Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf CGI held it back. The scene where like Wonder Woman and Batman are reintroduced, it's held back by the fact that that the criminals that Wonder Woman was fighting had no relevance to the story at all. Or with Batman, what held it back is his sheer stupidity. But really the two of the only scenes that I 100% loved was Barry Allen talking with his dad in prison. Because that honestly showed like some of his character, like his motivations, the kind of personality that he has, that he loves to have fun, but he's also pretty serious about like wanting to prove his father's innocence. And then the other scene with Cyborg and his father, where they're just talking about how basically Cyborg sees his dad as like a monster because he turned him into like a machine. Like those two scenes were great, except they're pretty much the only good scenes. Those scenes happened. Bruce Wayne travels somewhere to meet Aquaman, and the whole time he's just saying it. He's just making quips, making one-liners, saying to Arthur, "Oh, I hear you can talk to fish." And I'm not even sure if Bruce Wayne, like billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, would joke around that hard. But Aquaman doesn't accept Bruce's help. He even says in broad daylight, very loudly too, that like Bruce Wayne is Batman. So I guess everybody in that village knows that Bruce is Batman now. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, since that one criminal already knows who Batman is, because he can just make that easy connection of Alfred being Alfred Pennyworth, who was Bruce's butler. So after they fail to get Aquaman to join them, Bruce goes and sees Barry Allen. So Bruce is able to recruit Barry, and that's the only person that they get on the lead at first. Oh, right before I continue, I am going to say the music is okay. I mean, Danny Elfman did a pretty good job with what he had. It was nice to hear like echoes of the original Batman theme from the Tim Burton films. So that was nice at least. Anyway, Steppenwolf has already gotten the mother box from Atlantis, and that's what causes Aquaman to finally help out the league. They all go underground. They find Steppenwolf, who has kidnapped a bunch of people, including Victor Stone's dad. There are a couple scenes that Steppenwolf does have where he's so close to being intimidating, but it just misses the mark. Like talking about how he can smell the mother box on this one guy, and then when he's picking up this one janitor for Star Labs, and he says that like he has families. Steppenwolf does have an okay line where he says, "Well, why does everybody keep telling me that?" Like as if he's saying that he doesn't care. Cyborg attacks Steppenwolf. Flash runs in, saves Cyborg's father. And then they finally start fighting Steppenwolf and the Parademons for the first time. And there's a few things wrong with this. Originally, Steppenwolf says that, like, Diana is his kill, but then when he realizes that he's losing, that's when he tells the Parademons to just kill her off. Batman during this whole scene, he's just shown as worst. For some reason, Bruce has an over-reliance on his gadgets. Like, he can't take down a single Parademon without using, like, his grapnel launcher to assist him in doing a flying kick. The Batman in the comics, the Batman in any other form of media would be able to take down a Parademon. And it's not like it's not like this is like a new Batman. He's said multiple times in this film and in Batman v Superman that he's been going at it for 20 years. So he should know what he's doing. But no, I guess he can't take down a thug without using the Batclaw first, or using a Batarang. So they fight Steppenwolf. Cyborg shoots a rocket at him, which Steppenwolf deflects and blows up the wall in the harbor. Aquaman arrives, saving all of them from drowning. They get back up topside, and Cyborg retrieves his mother box. Somewhere out of the blue, Batman mentions, "Oh hey, well let's just resurrect Superman." And this part I actually didn't have much of a problem with, because Batman has taken some calculated risks in the comics before, and I'll get back to that one in a minute. Of course, they have that moment where the heroes argue and fight. In the end, they do decide to resurrect Superman. There is that scene where Barry tries to make light of it by mentioning Pet Cemetery. So they go to the Kryptonian ship. They resurrect Superman, which for some reason they actually had to sneak in with Barry dressing up as a soldier. I don't really understand why they had to do that. Maybe this is just me, but I'm pretty sure that they probably could have just, or at the very least, like Batman could have just walked up there and said, "Oh hey, we're going in here, and we're gonna resurrect Superman, and I'm gonna do that because I'm Batman." I'm pretty sure some government official would let Batman in just because he's Batman, or just walk in there as Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne for sure has some privileges that he can pull. Anyway, they resurrect Superman. Superman comes out. He's being an idiot because he doesn't remember anything, or it's in vague flashes. So he fights the Justice League, and this is actually another one of those decent scenes where Superman just shows that he can defeat the entire League if he wanted to. Batman shows up, Clark recognizes him, and he's about to kill him when Bruce tells Alfred to bring in Big Gun, who was revealed to be Lois Lane. Now, I remember kind of seeing some people talking about how this was irresponsible of Batman to do that, how it wasn't safe to bring in Lois Lane because she's just a civilian and he wouldn't know if Clark was going to kill her or not. I'm probably in a minority, but I actually didn't mind it because this isn't the first time that Batman has done stuff like this before. Like the best example that comes to my mind right now is during the Batman Hush storyline, or at the very least the animated movie Batman Hush, where Superman is under Poison Ivy's control, and the way that he snaps out of it is by Batman and Catwoman basically taking Lois Lane hostage. Now, I'm not sure if this is how they did it in the comic, but in the movie, Catwoman actually throws Lois off of the Daily Planet building, and that's what causes Superman to snap out of Ivy's control and save her. So I didn't really mind the fact that Bruce brought in Lois to calm down Clark in the Justice League film, but once again with other scenes, it is overshadowed by terrible CGI, especially that mustache. So Superman calms down, he remembers Lois Lane. They fly off back to Kansas. Meanwhile, Steppenwolf shows up and he steals the mother box that was used to resurrect Superman. So now they have all three of the mother boxes, where if they're joined together, he'll terraform the Earth into looking like Apocalypse. The heroes go back to the Batcave. They're doing that argument thing some more. For some reason, Aquaman is really hashing it out with Cyborg, which even now I never really understood, because it's not like they had any animosity towards each other earlier in the film. But they do figure out that Steppenwolf is in northern Russia. I don't really get why they decide to have the final fight in Russia. Like, there's, as far as I could tell, there's no like significant DC locations over in Russia. Like, why couldn't they just do it, like, say, at Ace Chemicals in Gotham, or just have the final fight in Metropolis? That would have been great. It also would have been an even better way to bring back Superman. But anyway, so they go to Russia. Batman's big master plan is to commit suicide, basically, by getting into the tower that Steppenwolf is in, and then he has to hope that the rest of the heroes can get there and stop him. Batman drops off Wonder Woman, the Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg outside of the little protective bubble that Steppenwolf has set up, and then he blows it up. He goes out into the Batmobile and just starts driving straight towards the tower. While they're all doing this, Superman is back in Kansas with Lois, and he's talking about how it was weird being dead and coming back to life. That part where he said it was itchy, I don't know if that was a Joss Whedon rewrite or if it was in the original script, but that was just completely out of place. I know that Superman cracks a few jokes, and he's known as like the Big Blue Boy Scout and all that. It would have worked if he just said, "Well, it just feels weird coming back to life after all this time, however how long it was." And every time he smiles, yeah, that CGI really shows. So Batman and the Justice League get inside the tower. They're trying to pull apart the mother boxes. Steppenwolf keeps stopping them at every turn. The fight scene was okay because he actually shows that he can still like kick their asses until Superman shows up, and that's when Steppenwolf becomes just one of those like minor level 1 bosses that you fight in a video game. So Superman starts kicking his ass. Then he helps Cyborg disrupt the mother boxes unification. I think that's what it was. And all the while he's cracking jokes about how, oh, I don't want to die, or oh, never mind, I want to die now. Through it all, Steppenwolf is still getting a beat down, even though it's not Superman anymore. It's Wonder Woman and Aquaman doing it, which I don't really get how they just decide to flip the script, where just 5 minutes ago, Steppenwolf could easily take on the entire Justice League if he wanted to. But the minute Superman shows up, that's when he turns into a little bitch. Even when it's not Superman fighting against him, like when it's just Aquaman or just Diana, that's when they start to finally kick his ass. It's almost like just Superman's presence just buffs everybody. So they stop the mother boxes. Steppenwolf is still there. He starts slapping around the Flash. Aquaman comes in. He beats him up a bit. Wonder Woman shows up. She starts fighting him. Superman flies down and uses his freeze breath. Now, I don't think his freeze breath was ever showcased in Batman v Superman or Man of Steel. But Superman comes in, uses his freeze breath to destroy Steppenwolf's axe. Parademons swoop in and they take Steppenwolf away because now he's afraid. So I guess they couldn't really discern Steppenwolf from the rest of the Justice League anymore. So they take Steppenwolf away into that boom tube. Later in the film, Batman and Superman are just talking while in Kansas. Meanwhile, Superman's mom and Lois Lane they're hauling stuff into the Kent house. Because at the very beginning of the film, Martha did say that the bank was foreclosing on her house. So the way they rectified that was with a bookend solution, by having Batman come in and just buy the bank outright so that the Kents could keep their home. Which he even says that to Clark. That actually was something. That actually is something that Bruce Wayne would do. At the very least, he's done stuff like that in the Nolan films, like buying hotels and getting drunk. So there's 3 scenes in the entire movie that I completely saw nothing wrong with. Everything else was either just terrible or was decent enough. And then the film ends with Lois Lane doing this monologue while the heroes go about and do their daily lives, and then the film just ends. Oh, I almost forgot that there was a completely separate subplot in Justice League where it kept cutting back and forth between the heroes and then this one Russian family who was caught in that little area of Steppenwolf and his parademons. And it kept cutting back and forth back to them, where it showed them barricading their house, getting their guns and weapons to fight against the parademons. The little girl picks up some bug spray during this because she thinks that's going to help. And the reason why I never brought it up earlier in this video was because, in all honesty, I don't care about the family. And I don't think anybody else did either. Nobody cares about them. They care about the Justice League. So why the heck would they show any footage of this random family who they're not even named in the film? So that whole thing was stupid. The post-credit scenes were okay. The scene with Superman and Barry about to race, I would have wanted to see how the race actually went, even though in the comics it's been confirmed that the Flash is actually faster than Superman. And all those times where Superman has beaten him, that was Barry just holding back. So that post-credit scene was okay. And then there's that ending scene where Lex Luthor escapes Arkham Asylum, and he's on a yacht, and he's visited by Deathstroke because they're planning on making the Injustice Gang, or the Injustice League, whatever it's called in the comics. This was another one of those scenes where I partially liked, but there was still something holding it back. The part that I liked about it was Joe Manganiello, if I'm not butchering his name, him playing Deathstroke, because I would have loved to see Deathstroke fight Batman in a future film. Now, the part that held it back was the fact that Jesse Eisenberg was still Lex Luthor. I don't know if this is the fault of Zack Snyder or Eisenberg himself, but he is not a good Lex Luthor. He would be great as the Riddler, which I believe that's what a lot of people have said. His character in Batman v Superman was just awful. It just was, because it seemed because it wasn't Lex Luthor. It wasn't. But really, that's kind of the problem with a lot of these characters in the Justice League film in general. I already mentioned Lex Luthor and how he was a bad casting choice. And then you got Ben Affleck as Batman, who I remember saying way back in 2015 that he was not going to be a good Batman. And once I saw Batman v Superman, I ate my words, because he actually played a pretty good Batman. I didn't even care about the fact that he killed people in the film, because he's killed in his very first comics. There were still some decisions that he made in that film that were stupid, such as the such as the Martha line. And actually, this was also a stupid move on Superman's part. Like, he could have just easily said, "Kill me if you have to, but please save my mother." He could have just said that. Instead, he just said, "Save Martha," because apparently he refers to his parents by their first name now. So that was a couple of the problems I had with Batman v Superman. But then it gets ramped up to 11 in Justice League, where Batman has an over-reliance on his gadgets. He makes stupid decisions where he reveals his identity to criminals, and he's just all around useless. Like, that's really what he is in the Justice League film. He's completely useless, other than the fact that he gave them a base of operations in the Batcave. So they destroyed Batman's character in the film. Wonder Woman was okay. There wasn't particularly anything wrong with her that I really remembered, but there also wasn't particularly anything that I found like outstandingly good about her, because her character in this film was, I'll be honest, it was kind of generic. Like, she didn't actually do anything that was outstanding. She was just one of those. One of those characters, which, in my opinion, was just there. That might sound harsh, but that's just the way I saw it. That one scene later in the film where she and Batman have that little talk, and it's kind of hinting at a little romance between them. If they had built it up at all, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, because like, I grew up watching the original Justice League TV show, and they hinted at a Batman and Wonder Woman romance throughout that entire series. As it stands, that was the only scene of the film where they did that. So it just felt forced and out of place. Cyborg, he was an okay character. That scene with his dad, like I said, is one of my 3 favorite scenes of the entire film. In my opinion, he also doesn't do too much. He does mope around quite a bit, though. The Flash, I think he's a little bit more in line with the comics. How he's kind of like the fun character, where he makes all these jokes, but it seems like every single character decided to take that trait for themselves as well. So he doesn't stick out too much. Aquaman, he's just a drunk idiot in this film, which that might have actually been what they were trying to go for with it, because this film took place before 2018's Aquaman. So I guess you could look at that that this wasn't Aquaman in Justice League. This was Arthur Curry before he becomes Aquaman. Which, in that regard, I guess I could respect that. Superman is, like, he still has that little, like, Boy Scout demeanor about him. But all the characters still fell flat. There were a bunch of scenes where they just felt out of character for varying reasons. The only main character, that is, that I think probably stayed true to who he was throughout the entire film was Alfred, because he still kept up that quippy, smartass character that he had in Batman v Superman, and he actually was trying to help out the League in any way that he could. Even though he didn't do too much, he still at least retained like who he was throughout the entire film. Like I said before, Steppenwolf, there were a couple scenes where, I'm not gonna lie, he actually did like have some pretty cool moments, but it was always held back by the fact that his design was just completely awful. So all in all, the Justice League film that came out in 2017 There were some good moments in it, but the bad far outweighed the good, unfortunately. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but it was still pretty bad. And that's why I'm extremely excited for the Snyder Cut to come out. Now, my reasoning for it is the Snyder Cut could be bad, it could be good, it could be complete and utter dog shit, but it will still be miles better than what we got in the theaters. And the reason for that is because it will be under one man's vision, and that's Zack Snyder's. It won't be just a mismatch of the directing styles of both Snyder and Joss Whedon, because their two directing styles are like night and day. Best example would be to watch Batman v Superman, and then like Avengers: Age of Ultron. And you can clearly see that they have different styles for how they want their superhero films to go. Like Joss Whedon is all like fun and daytime and all that, while Snyder's like dark and grim. That's really the core reason why Justice League didn't work, because they brought in Joss Whedon to finish a movie that, to my knowledge, was already halfway done, and he ended up reshooting a lot of what Zack Snyder had already done, and in the end it just didn't work out. It came out as a complete mess. Here's hoping that Zack Snyder's Justice League does the film more justice than what we got in theaters.